Alright mate, how you doing? Welcome back to another episode of IMO. We've reached the end of the Premier League season for 2018-2019, which means it's time to review my pre-season Premier League predictions. How many did I get right? How many did I get wrong? Let's have a look. Okay, so what we're going to do in this video is take a look at my predictions, see where the teams actually finished and how far off I was. I'm also going to take a little look at how I've compared to other predictions I've done over the last 3 seasons as well. Because I've done it 4 years in a row now, so we've got lots of stats to compare. But let's start things off by taking a look at my predictions league table with the relegation zone, okay? So you can see I tipped Cardiff to finish bottom, Huddersfield to finish 19th, Brighton to finish 18th. So straight away we can see, as much as none of those teams were in their right position, I did get 2 of the 3 relegated teams correct. I was right about Cardiff, I was right about Huddersfield, and I wasn't far off with Brighton. They just avoided relegation. It was obviously Fulham who dropped in there. So I'm not going to beat myself up about these particular predictions. I was only 2 places off with Cardiff, and I was only 1 place off with Huddersfield. I do feel sorry for Cardiff. I think that they probably should have stayed up on the balance of things. They were really unlucky with some games. Big decisions going against them, particularly against the big clubs. And of course, the horrible incident with their new signing, their record signing, Salah, who died in that plane crash. Who knows what would have happened if he'd actually made it there. So I would have happily been wrong about Cardiff not going down, but they did go down. And in general, I've got these predictions kind of good. Let's push on now and look at the lower half of the league table. So you can see here 17th place up to 11th place. Starting off with Southampton, again, not bad. I'm only 1 spot off again. Obviously, they replaced their manager halfway through the season. That ultimately kept them up, but not by a lot. And I worry about Southampton moving forward. I think they need to spend some money and really improve their squad if they want to definitely maintain their Premier League status next year. In 16th place, I had Newcastle. Now, they finished 13th. And in fairness to Newcastle and Rafa Benitez, who's been doing a great job, they did better than I thought they would. And they've done it on a very small budget. I think Rafa needs to be backed in the market. I think Mike Ashley needs to move on, and someone else can come in and sort Newcastle out and give their fans the sort of team they deserve. But in general, they should be happy with their season. In 15th place, I had Watford. Now, they actually finished 11th. They did better than I thought they would. They had a poor finish to the season, although they have got the FA Cup final coming up. So you wonder if their heads are more focused on that right now. But yeah, at one point, they were well in the race to finish 7th. They probably could have done it if they'd had a better finish to the season. But 50 points is a good return. They just missed out on their first finish in the top 10 of the Premier League for a long, long time, because West Ham beat them on the final day, which meant they dropped down to 11th. But still, if I was a Watford fan, I'd be happy with that, and fair play to them, I was 4 places wrong on Watford. In 14th, I had Leicester. Now, they actually finished 9th. They did impress me, mostly to the tail end of the season, particularly the addition of Brendan Rodgers, who I think is going to be a good manager for them. I was 5 places out, and I think if Rodgers had been there longer, he could have given Wolves a real push for that 7th place finish. Crystal Palace, I had to finish 13th. They actually finished 12th, so they did 1 better than I thought, but I'm happy with this prediction. I was pretty much bang on, just off. At times, Palace were unbelievable. Not all season, but in certain games, with the likes of Zaha, Townsend coming up. Batshuayi was a good loan signing for sure. That's a decent front three, you know. If they can keep Batshuayi there and keep Zaha and Townsend as well, and Townsend keeps firing, that's a dangerous attack. In 12th, I had Burnley. Now, they actually finished 15th. They were 3 places worse than I thought they were going to be. But to be honest, they should be happy with 15th because they looked really bad at the start of the season. I thought they were going to go down at one point, but Sean Dyche has done what he does and he's kept them up. Now, Fulham is the big mistake in this predictions. The biggest margin of error by far. I had them to finish 11th. They obviously finished 8 places worse than that in 19th, getting relegated. Why has this happened? Why have I got this one so wrong? Well, they spent £100 million in the window. And I know it's not all about how much you spend. I know you've got to spend money cleverly and buy the right players, which in hindsight they probably didn't. But I never thought I'd see the day that a club could get relegated after spending £100 million. Improving their squad with £100 million. And it's a squad that's already got promoted that you think might do okay, considering Cardiff made very small changes to their squad and almost stayed up. What's that £100 million got them? It's madness. This could have a huge effect on the future of Fulham Football Club as well, because they're going to have players on big wages, on contracts. They need to offload them ASAP. So I was pretty wrong about Fulham. I don't mind being wrong about Fulham because I think I predicted it for the right reasons and they massively underperformed. And only really Scott Parker towards the end of the season as a manager has given them some hope for the future. They've actually picked up, I think they got 3 wins in a row after getting relegated, which is crazy. So good signs for the future in that regard, but a terrible, terrible season for Fulham. Okay, so let's look at who I had finishing between the 10th and 7th place spots. Now in 10th, I had Bournemouth. They actually finished 14th. So we've seen a few clubs now that have done worse than I thought they would. Bournemouth could have easily finished 10th at one point in the season, particularly at the start. They started really, really well, scoring loads of goals. Callum Wilson was on fire. They hit a real bad patch though mid-season. They just stopped getting points and they started to struggle. And I think 14th place is a good position for Bournemouth. They don't spend loads of money. Interesting fact I heard the other day, Josh King has outscored Marcus Rashford in the Premier League for 4 seasons in a row. Just thought I'd throw that out there. But anyway, I was a few places wrong on Bournemouth. Going into 9th place, I had Wolves to finish 9th. They actually finished 7th, so I was 2 places wrong on this, but I'm happy again with this prediction because I, along with many people this year, accurately predicted that Wolves were going to do well in their first season back in the Premier League. And it's a difficult thing to predict that, but Wolves were the team that were going to do it. They have huge backing behind them. They're top quality players. People like Ruben Neves, Moutinho, and we saw how well people like Diego Jota have played this season. Not to mention Jimenez. Even players like Conor Cody, who played every single minute of the Premier League season this year, have really impressed me. So yeah, I underestimated Wolves by 2 positions, but they were in that race for 7th towards the end of the season with the likes of Everton, Leicester, West Ham, Watford, but Wolves deserved it. In 8th place, I had West Ham to finish 8th. They actually finished 10th, my club, so I was a bit wrong on this one. Again, 2 places out, but in the right kind of area. We could have easily finished 8th if we just had a few better results, particularly against the clubs around us in the league. We had a terrible start to the season. We didn't win any of our opening 4 games, so just think if there's some better results then, plus we hadn't lost games to the likes of Wolves in the middle of the season, Everton, we could have easily gone into 8th position. And I do like the look of our squad. I think if Pellegrini backs it, maybe moves some players on in the summer and improves it, builds it more in his own image, we could be around the 8th spot, maybe 7th next year. In 7th, I predicted Everton, who actually finished 8th, so I was only 1 spot wrong on this one. Again, I'm very happy. And in general, we're not seeing huge margins of error in this prediction, apart from maybe Fulham. And that's because I think largely this season went the way a lot of people predicted it. Everton definitely could have got 7th spot if they'd been better at the start of the season. They had a great finish, and they were just 3 points off 7th spot. So again, I'm happy with this prediction. Let's have a look at 6th and 5th places, the guys that just missed out on top 4 Champions League spots. Now, I got Chelsea a little bit wrong, okay? I predicted them to finish 6th. They finished 3rd, so I was 3 places wrong. Sorry, Chelsea. I thought they were going to struggle a little bit with life in the Europa League, but not only have they finished in the top 4 and got themselves a Champions League spot, they could also still win the Europa League itself and deny Arsenal a Champions League spot. Speaking of Arsenal, I had them to finish 5th, and they did finish exactly 5th, so happy with that one. My first complete right prediction for this season. At times, they were great, Arsenal, putting some great runs together. Aubameyang scoring a lot of goals, great partnership with Lacazette, and they had a long unbeaten streak at the start of the season, but they're probably right to just miss out on top 4. A little bit too inconsistent. But again, if they win the Europa League final, they get that Champions League spot. Let's take a look at the top 4 then. And I'm pretty happy with my top 4 predictions with the exception of one. Spurs, I got exactly right to finish 4th. I think a good prediction. I took into consideration the Wembley factor. They're not getting to move towards later on in the season. Playing in the Champions League, of course, and not buying anyone in the transfer window. So I'm very happy to get the Spurs prediction correct. In 3rd, though, I did have Man United, where they actually finished 6th. At one point, when Solskjaer came in and put that run of wins together, it looked like they would and should have got top 4, but they absolutely dropped off a cliff. I'm thinking about making another video about Man United and Solskjaer in general, because I think there's a lot to talk about there. I'm not sure he's the right man for the job. I'm definitely not sure he should be given a big transfer budget to spend and try and rebuild the club, because let's face it, they've been rebuilding for about 6-7 years now. But I think there's bigger problems at Man United with the likes of Woodward, who, in my opinion, from footballing reasons, has to go. But alas, I did get them 3 spots wrong. I thought they were going to get back in the Champions League, and they didn't. They're going to have to get used to Europa League, and they're even going to have to qualify really early on in the summer. I think they've got games starting in early July, so that's not going to be nice for Man United. 2nd and 1st, though, Liverpool and City, I got them bang on. This was an amazing title race from these 2 clubs. Liverpool, in almost every other Premier League season, would have won the league with 97 points. It's the 3rd highest finish ever. And guess who got the other 2 best ones? Man City this season and last season. So Liverpool really unlucky. They've come up against probably and arguably the best Premier League team ever 2 years in a row. Would I have predicted that Man City and Liverpool would have been so many points away from 3rd place? There was a 25-point gap between Liverpool and Chelsea. No, I probably wouldn't have predicted that, but it's about the position at the end of the day. I got Liverpool right and I got Man City right. Man City, unbelievable. Pep Guardiola, what a man. First team to win 2 Premier Leagues in a row, I think, in a decade. First back-to-back titles for Man City. Yes, they're going to miss out on the Champions League, but they've already won the League Cup. They could win the FA Cup this weekend, which means they'd won the domestic treble, which has never been done before. You have to wonder whether Man City and Pep can win a third Premier League title in a row, which only Man United have been able to do in the past. I think they've done it twice in the Premier League era. And if Pep stays around, I can see City maybe equaling that record, maybe even surpassing it with a real era of dominance. So in general, guys, I've got to say I'm pretty happy with my predictions this year. I think I was helped by the fact the Premier League kind of followed the script we all predicted it would, more or less. I got 4 teams exactly right. It's very hard to get teams in the exact right position. They're usually at the top end of the table, a little bit more predictable there. But I got a lot of teams just off. There's only a couple of really bad ones. Fulham being the obvious mistake, 8 places lower than I thought they were going to be. However, if I use this to make a little point system and I give myself a point for every place I got wrong, so the more points you get, the worse, I got 44 points this season. So in general, 44 places off the exact right leaderboard, okay? Now, to give you some context on that, that's the best I've ever done. And what's even more interesting is I'm getting better every year. If we take it back to the 2015-16 season, this is when Leicester shocked the world and won the league. I got 70 points. I was 70 places wrong. Okay, that's bad, but Leicester was the big one. I think I had them finishing 17th and they finished first. Something terrible. The year after that, for 2016-17, I was 6 points better. I got 64 points. The year after that, in 2017-18, last season, I improved by 4. I was on 60. But this year, I've done 16 points better, going from 60 points to 44 points. So I'm pretty happy with that. My aim for next season is to get more than 4 teams exactly right, so to improve on this season, and to bring my score down from 44 points, maybe to around the 40 mark. That would be a good aim. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of my predictions. What you think of the next season. I want to hear your thoughts. Are City going to do it again? Are Liverpool going to clinch their first Premier League title? They could even be winning the Champions League in a few weeks. We already know we're going to have Sheffield United and Norwich up in the Premier League next season, as well as whoever wins the playoff. And that's always an interesting prediction, is how the new promoted clubs are going to do. And I will, of course, do my Premier League predictions video for next season after the transfer window ends, before the season starts. Subscribe for more. Let me know if you want to see me make a video about the Solskjaer Man United situation, if you're enjoying the return of the IMOs. Until next time, I'll see you when you're older. Don't go changing.